So this is a little different. I'm on an e-bike, a road e-bike, actually a gravel e-bike, but it's basically the same as a road one. So let's talk specialized Turbo Creo SL Expert EVO. As you may know, I moved from Colorado to Milwaukee last year, and Milwaukee's lacking a bit in mountains. So how do I keep my riding going? Well, I got a gravel bike, but I'm no road cyclist, so I got an electric gravel bike. This one, it's not full fat, it's the SL. So you only get 35 Newton meters of torque max, but honestly that feels enough. It helps keep me going and gets me through some of the more arduous parts of the ride. Like today, it's super windy, and the motor just let me punch through. I have no idea how the sound on this video will turn out, because I'm cycling along at, I don't know, 17 miles an hour into a 17-mile-an-hour wind, and it's 32 degrees, actually below that, it's below freezing, and yeah, but this gets me out, gets me to do the miles. So could this be the mountain biker's gravel bike? For those that don't like road, let's see. Why did I get a gravel bike when there's not much gravel around Milwaukee? Really, there's no forest roads, very few gravel paths. What there is mostly paved, being a city. But I didn't want to limit myself to only having road tyres, and the tyres on the EVO are very good. These tyres have a smooth centre strip, which is perfect for pavement, but they're also wider than the non-EVO Creo, meaning that on gravel you've got more traction, as well as the cornering knobs that are very fine, but they do add and work pretty well. The other thing where the EVO is advantageous over the road is that it comes with a dropper post. It's only 50 mil, but that makes all the difference. When I'm doing rides, being a mountain biker, I'm used to adjusting my position, and even on the road, I can tweak the saddle up and down just a little bit, just to either stretch out or find a more comfy position. Heading into the wind, I might drop the saddle just a little bit to lower my position. It's very nice. And I see no downside if you do want to run it as a road bike. This is a 2021 model. It's got Shimano Di2 shifting. It's 11 speed on the back. For the Midwest here, the range of gears was actually too much. I reduced the back by putting on a Ultegra 11 speed, 1132 cassette, and that's much better. Of course, if you've got heels, you'll probably want to stick with the standard XT cassette that's on this. 2022 models come with SRAM access, I believe, at 12 speed. Oh, it's so windy. what I'm riding at the moment is the closest gravel I've got to home. In a moment I'll be on pavement again. Okay, enough of that. It fits. Well, that sucked. I've had this bike 4 months now. I got it at the end of December and I've ridden it through January, February, and now we're entering the end of March. So actually 2.5 months, and I put about 700 miles on it in that time, riding through snow, ice, snow, dirt, gravel, a lot of pavement. And what have I found in that time? So what I've done, I put on the mud guards. I've added a light to the back. I've added the specialized bag that clips into the back of the saddle, and that's pretty much about it. Obviously I've added water bottles to it that happen to fit my thermos, which is good, so I have hot chocolate and hot water in the winter time. And this thing has trucked through from temperatures in the low single digits up quite happily. Let's talk about range that I found. So Specialized claims up to 80 miles. I don't know what they claim that on. I don't get anything close to that. But what I found is that in the winter, particularly with the winter tires, studded winter tires no less, which weigh over 1 kilo each, so that's a lot of rotating weight, you obviously lose a lot of energy as a result of that. So what I was finding is that for like 40-mile rides, I would detune using the Specialized app the trail setting down to about 50%, and that would be good for like 40-mile rides in that mode. At the standard 60% trail mode, I was finding that that was good for about 32 miles when you're in like sub-freezing 20-degree type weather. Once I did a ride where it was like high 60s, and on my summer tires, that same trail mode did me 40 miles with about 25% battery left. So the range obviously went up running on the summer tires. So I don't know what the capabilities of this bike are yet. I'm going to be monitoring that, so stay tuned, subscribe. I'll do an update down the road, perhaps a couple of months from now, as to what I'm finding on the total range. But pros and cons, things I like and things I don't like about this bike. I'll start off with the negatives. The battery. You get range anxiety. The weird thing, and this is the pro, when I come to it later, is that it rides like a normal bike switched off. But once you've had that motor on, it sucks you in, it's very seductive. So as soon as you switch it off, or you go down into eco mode, you're like, where did my boost and my assistance go? So you want to ride it in a boosted mode. Honestly, turbo seems too powerful. You just reserve that for short bursts where you need to hammer through a headwind or up a hill with a headwind and get through it. But for most, you can run in trail or eco, and running in trail on like a 50% assist. By the way, this can be a little confusing. If you're putting out 150 watts, well, let's say 100 watts, which is not much power at all, 50% assist will actually give you around 180 watts of power. No, hang on. 100% assist will actually give you about 180, because what happens is that the motor gives you 1.8 times what you put into it, up to 240 watts. So if you put in 100 watts with a 100% assist, you will get 180 watts back out. So at a 50% assist mode, you'll get about 90 watts back, which is almost doubling of what you put into it, up to 250 watts. That's actually quite a nice level to ride at, because riding through paved trails, stuff like this, standard flat rolling terrain, honestly, turbo is kind of scary. It's quick. But a 30% assist doesn't seem that much more than a normal bike if you have a headwind. It feels like what it's doing is just cutting the headwind and you're riding like a normal bike. Anyway, so that's a negative. The other negative is cost. This is an expensive bike. The Expert EVO retails for $9,750. That's not cheap money. I did not pay that for it. I got it on sale. I got it $2,000 off, but it's still $7,750. That's still a lot of money, even on a sale price. This is an expensive bike. However, I find I justify it because for the last 3 months, apart from some fat biking, it's all I've been riding. And as I say, I put on 700 miles and it's keeping me cycling and motivated to go out in horrible conditions where otherwise I wouldn't be, because you know that if you start to blow up, you can boost that power or just, you know, power on through, and if you're not feeling it, you've got some assist to help get you back home. The other thing, it's kind of a con but also a pro, is that in this day and age, the electronic shifting Di2 is great and awesome, but having 11 speed now seems kind of archaic. That's solved on the 2022s. I believe they've all gone to 12 speed. Really, 11 speed. But in hindsight, I'm finding it doesn't matter. I'm not using the gears anyway. I only use a small handful of them. And so actually that's really inconsequential. The other thing with the Di2 that I don't like is that it integrates in with my Garmin. But to do that, you had to install a Bluetooth Ant Plus module, which doesn't come with the bike. And for such an expensive bike, that really should have been included, because that was a $100 module that I had to plug into the Di2 lines in order for it to interface and connect with my Garmin. Beyond that, there's not many other negatives. What I like, the carbon wheel set is nice and light. The tubeless wheels, this tread pattern is really very nice for a mix of trail and pavement. Considering I do a lot of pavement, it works really, really well. I love the dropper. It may only be 50 millimeters, but that 50 millimeters makes all the difference. So far, it's been pretty bulletproof. The pavement around here is very broken and bad and lumpy, but the bike gives a very nice, well-damped ride. It's very, very comfortable. I haven't changed out the saddle. The whole bike feels very solid, very well damped. It doesn't pass through harsh vibrations. It's very, very nice. And riding it with the motor off doesn't hurt. It rides like a heavy bike, which it is. It weighs about 36 pounds, which is not inconsequential, but it's not terrible either. When you look at this from a mountain biker's perspective, mountain bikes are well over 30 pounds these days, a lot of them. And well, road bikes can be super lightweight, sub 20 pounds, you know, 18 pounds and so on. For this bike, my previous cyclocross bike, which was still with all the bits and pieces on it, weighed 28 pounds. It was about 23 pounds with all the accessories taken off. But this is not terrible, and it doesn't ride like a 36-pound bike. So anyway, that's my kind of 2.5 month review of the Specialized Turbo Creo SL Expert EVO. That's a mouthful. And so far I like it. It's getting me out, getting me riding, getting me, you know, out of the urbanness of where I live now in Milwaukee. And while it's still very urban around here, you get out and find a lot more of the paved trails through the woods and out into the countryside more. It gets me out on those 50-60 mile rides that I need to get away from the urbanist setting and to actually get into more of the hills. Well, hills is relative, nothing around here is more than about 100 foot in height, but over the course of a ride I can still knock up 1200 feet of climbing over 40-50 miles, which is pathetically small in the grand scheme of things, but for around here it's pretty good. Anyway, good bike. Is it worth it? That really depends upon you. I hate road biking. I'm not a road biker. I'm mountain bike first forever, then gravel after that, but like gravel on forest roads, but again through mountains. For me, it's the journey, getting out. This bike allows me to do the journey and get out, so for me that's worth it. Anyway, hope you enjoy that. Let me know in the comments below. If you've got any questions, I'll answer them the best I can. If you want more Creo content, what it's like e-biking a gravel bike, let me know. I'll answer the best I can. And for now, it's snowing, so I'm going to get back riding again. Whoa, gunshots. That was gunshots. So I got back home and the ride by the numbers, 37 miles, 2.5 hours, 1400 feet climbed, and running in trail mode at 40%. I ended up having 55% of the battery left with just a few miles to go. Then I hit like a brutal headwind, so I stuck it into turbo mode, and in those last few miles running at 100%, it dropped down to 43%. So I consumed 12% of the battery in just 3 miles on turbo, but it barely touched the battery, you know, at 40% assist. At 40% assist, I was probably on for a good 60 mile capability, perhaps 65, even touching on 70. And so that's actually pretty good. I think if you're running eco mode 30%, you could probably actually hit the 80 miles. I'll try that later on when it gets warm. Today it was pretty brutal with a 17 mile headwind, but what that did